Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and for the first time ever, we might have a true WhatsApp rumour which has provided some good news to Celtic fans. It doesn't happen very often. When it does, it's like a solar eclipse, and we're going to talk about that today because we've had a fantastic update on the status of DAIZEN Maeda, who only a few days ago, his season was over. But is it? Let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We're heading into the podcast studio tonight, finally getting back to the Celtic the Thunder, so make sure to look out for that tomorrow ahead of this big weekend in the Scottish Premiership. Looking forward to catching up with Kieran and Ryan this evening. So if you want anything asked or answered, on the show, make sure to head over to our Twitter and get your questions in. However, we have a big story to talk about today. Well, WhatsApp rumours, eh? Usually they're rubbished very quickly. Usually you laugh at them. Last night there was one floating around that we're going to come to in a moment, which I did initially laugh at because I thought to myself, there's no way, there's no chance. But these were the headlines this morning. This is just one of the headlines. DAIZEN Maeda on for Celtic quick-fire injury return as Brendan Rodgers drops a hint during fan Q&A. Should we go back to the start here? Should we have a look at what transpired over the past 24 hours, which has led to this moment, to the excitement of a potential DAIZEN Maeda return? Because it's a bit of a roller coaster, to say the least. So late last night, this dropped, a screenshot from a WhatsApp conversation, I'll read it verbatim for you, that said, exclusive from tonight's audience with Brendan. When DAIZEN got injured, he was out for the season. They decided to send him back to Japan. The doctor wanted more scans to see the extent of the injury and work out a treatment plan. The docs have said that they've never seen such a quick recovery from that type of injury. Had another yesterday and a further improvement. He trained on the grass today, probably too early for Sunday, but if this week goes well, he'll be back in full training next week. So that was the initial rumour that spread through WhatsApp late last night following a apparent Brendan Rodgers fan Q&A, which very quickly was picked up on this morning by Craig over at Seltzer here. He put up this tweet saying that Rodgers did take part in a Q&A for an Investors Lounge event. I've had it confirmed by two people in attendance that Rodgers did say Maeda is back running already and could be back as early as next week. So Seltzer here ran with that story. Credit to them for picking up on the information from the Brendan Rodgers Q&A event. And simply put, DAIZEN Maeda could be back next week. This is some massive news, considering what we heard about DAIZEN Maeda not even a full week ago. Brendan Rodgers was confirming to us in the media and through the press that DAIZEN Maeda's season was probably over. There was talk of a potential assessment which could see him maybe back for the tail end of it. Who knows, maybe you'd have him fit for the Scottish Cup final. But now we're talking about having DAIZEN Maeda back in the full training next week, just missing this game at the weekend, and then being back for Hearts next Saturday, which is something that I thought was completely out of the question. I never thought that there was any chance of DAIZEN Maeda being fit and ready to come back into the Celtic side before this season was over. I thought it would be a case of nursing him back to health and waving him off and seeing him in August when the new season begins. But no, apparently he's had some John Cena 2008 Super Cena-esque recovery, and he's ready to come back. He's ready to play. The doctor's saying it is something that they've never seen before with this type of injury, a recovery like no other, which is an absolute credit to the athlete and the person that DAIZEN Maeda is. We all know that he keeps himself in top condition and good nick, and that's paying dividends for him right now as he's potentially coming back weeks, if not months early from a season-ending injury, which is great news for Celtic in so many different levels. I'm not going to be that guy that spoils the party, but I will say this, I'm not going to get my hopes up completely just in case anything goes wrong, and I don't want to see him rush back into training, aggravate anything, and then he is out for the season. I'm not going to be the guy that spoils the good news, but I am just keeping that caution in my head. That thought in the back of my head is telling me, don't get your hopes up yet. But ultimately, what you've got to talk about here is the insane fact that we're talking about having DAIZEN Maeda back in such high regard, because this is a player who gets pelters from a lot of the support. And he's done man nutting on occasion this season, but you see how much you miss when he's not in the team. And you've seen that in the past couple of weeks. DAIZEN MAEDA'S absence has been felt. We've been really poor on that left-hand side. We've been poor in the wings without him. And his presence in that game at Ibrox was huge, wasn't it? The pressure that he applied to James Tavernier, he made it a nightmare performance for Rangers right back. Meanwhile, DAIZEN MAEDA was scoring seconds into the game and having the time of his life. That's the kind of player that you need for this run-in of games. That's the kind of player that you need for the Derby game at Celtic Park, the kind of player that you need for the Derby game in the Scottish Cup final. He gets on people's nerves, and for as raw as he is and as ruthless a player as he is, and sometimes it can be a pain to watch, he is quality at doing those things that make life difficult for defenders. So having him back it provides a substantial boost of quality to the attacking line at Celtic, and I'm sure that most people, if not everybody, is receiving this as nothing but good news. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers was speaking kind of behind closed doors, if you like. It wasn't meant to be a publicised event, and it was meant to be a private Q&A session. So it'll be interesting to hear what Brendan Rodgers says at the press conference tomorrow, before we take on Dundee this weekend. If there's a further update, I'm sure this will be brought up by the journalists that are present. So I'm looking forward to his public update on DAIZEN MAEDA to see how it differs, and to see if there's any update as to what game we could maybe expect him back for. Of course, with a hamstring injury, there is a tendency for coaches and teams to protect these players and make sure they're coming back at a rate that will, best benefit them. But buzzing, DAIZEN MAEDA, from season over to back in the team in the space of a short few days. You've got to love that. So that's the big story for today. We'll pick up on that from Brendan Rodgers' comments tomorrow as well, and see if there's any more to talk about. We managed to squeeze in the fact that he could be fit for the Scottish Cup final. Let's talk about that Scottish Cup final, because the kick-off time has been confirmed for the final on the 25th of May next month. It's going to be a 3 o'clock kick-off between Celtic and Rangers at Hampden Park. That means that the Cup final will be on at the same time as England's FA Cup final. There was obviously a lot of talk, a lot of rumours that the game could be moved so that there wasn't a clash between the two games. There was rumours that maybe Celtic and Rangers could end up kicking off at 12 or half 12. But no, both games will go through, or go forward, with the 3 o'clock kick-off time, which is great news. Much prefer that to the early kick-offs. And we can focus on that when the time comes, but we can receive it as good news as well. I like a 3 o'clock kick-off. It's much better than your 12s or half 12s. So a win for the SFA, a very rare win, not having to have the game moved. Final story for today then, it's in relation to Benjamin Siegrist, who obviously has a Celtic career that you may forget about, but there has been talk of a potential exit for him this summer, only up north to Aberdeen. It was picked up in the Daily Record. There's not much substance to the quote in the tabloid, but there is talk that if Kelly Roos leaves Aberdeen, that there is potential for a move for the goalkeeper to head to Pittodrie. Here it is in the article. Aberdeen could move for Celtic backup Benjamin Siegrist if Roos leaves. That's literally all that's there. There's no much else. There's no references to suggest that there's been talk of that or anything, but we all know that Siegrist will be leaving Celtic in the summer. That's a very well-known secret at this point. It's just a matter of where is he going to end up, where's he going to go. Aberdeen would be a good move for him, I would think, and imagine it would be a permanent move as well. So yeah, another one of the clubs that he's been linked with. Just a wee update if you forgot that he actually is a Celtic player. And that's that for today. The big story, of course, being about DAIZEN MAEDA, which is huge and great news. I'm so happy to hear it. So hopefully Brendan backs that up tomorrow in his press conference, and we'll cover that when the time comes. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.